Welcome to the first podcast episode ever of what we're calling Fitness for All, and it is sponsored by Lebert Fitness, and it's hosted by myself, Cam Jenkins. And for the first episode, I want to welcome in the owner of Lebert Fitness, Marc Lebert. Marc, welcome to the show.
Woohoo! Thanks, Cam. I'm so excited.
Hi.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a little while now, and of all days to do it, we're launching a new product. But I got to tell you, I would not cancel on you because we've been friends for a long time, and I'm excited about this podcast. And B, our very first episode. So super pumped, my man.
Absolutely. And since you had mentioned it, do you want to let the listeners know of the new product that's out through Lebert Fitness?
Yeah, it's called the HIT system, and it's a combination of unilateral motions. So a dynamic resistance trainer that's really good for HIT training, but also good for any level. And it comes complete with anchors, so you can hook it up like a suspension trainer, either up high or straight across from you or even down low. So you can hook it up just about anywhere. And also it comes with a partner handle. So you can use a partner. So it's also great for partner training. So we're super pumped about this. I'm pumped about everything this morning, apparently.
You're going to have to get a workout in so you can get some of that out of you.
Yes, absolutely. I am going to the gym soon. Of course, they're all closed, but I'm just going there with my son. So, yeah.
Perfect. And do you want to let the listeners know a little bit about Lebert Fitness and how that came to be?
Yeah, well, it came to be because I was leaving a client's home. I was doing a lot of in-home personal training, and she wanted to be able to do chin-ups and didn't want to buy an expensive lat pull nav machine or anything like that. So I kind of had this idea to weld up some steel bars, which are now the equalizers. I just called a buddy in Hamilton who worked at a steel factory and asked him if I came over, he'd weld some stuff up for me. He said, absolutely. And I brought a case of beer, of course, because that's what a good Canadian boy does. And we welded up the first equalizers. That was over 15 years ago. And we took that concept to market. We tested it here first in Canada, and now it's around the world. So it's been a wild 15 years.
Absolutely. And can you talk about maybe some of the other product that Lebert Fitness also has?
Yeah, so we have the equalizers, which we have in a taller version now, the XLs. We have parallettes, which are shorter equalizers. They're like a gymnastics tool. Funny thing is, I didn't even know what parallettes were until someone at a trade show said to me, they were talking about the equalizers, said, those look like tall parallettes. And I'm like, yeah, sure they do. Yeah, and they walked away, and I Googled what the heck parallettes were. So we got the parallettes, we got the equalizers, we've got the new HIT trainer. We have a nice stretching product. It's a simple tool called the Stretch Strap, which I kind of developed because being an ex-hockey player and training a lot of hockey kids over the years, their flexibility was very poor. So it's great for that, getting into those poses and holding them more effectively. Yeah, so that's our product lineup. And I have one more, but kind of sort of launched it, kind of haven't. But right now it's more of a boot camp tool. So right now we're just focusing on helping people get fit at home. So we're working on huge promotions a lot of people are gouging right now. We were excited to be able to offer a lot of our product off at 50% off, because we thought it was the right thing to do. So we got a lot of people with equalizers in their homes now, and hopefully staying fit and safe and hopefully sane during this time.
Absolutely. I know that I was one of the people that bought the Lebert equalizers when they were on half price. And, that's really great that Lebert Fitness offered that at 50% off and didn't price gouge like a lot of businesses seem to be doing these days.
Yeah, there's always good stories and bad stories. I think the news could very well be called What's Wrong Today. They focus on a lot of bad stories, but there's breweries out there making hand sanitizer, and there's lots of people and companies doing some amazing things. So I like to focus on those. And thank you for purchasing. Of course, you didn't have to purchase, but I appreciate that. You know what I want to do, Cam? I want to switch gears and I want to interview you because this is going to be your podcast. You're so fantastic at interviewing people and making them feel comfortable. And we've been friends for over 10 years. So why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Well, a little bit about myself. Like you had mentioned, we met about 10 years ago, and I was at a point in my life where I wanted to, get a little bit more fitness because I was competing in para sports for para track and field, or more so the field, because unless I'm running after women, I don't really like to run. So I chose to get into the para field, where I was throwing shot put, javelin, and discus, and I just wanted to become a little bit more serious with it. So I ended up finding you at a gym that was Fuel Fitness.
Yep.
Back in the day. And we met at a Booster Juice where Jim was.
Mm-hmm.
And a mutual friend of ours. And that's where we kind of met, where I started my fitness journey. And then because of where I worked, I left and started working in the East End of Toronto. And then recently wanted to get back into a fitness journey. And so I came to the gym that you're with now, which is Fitness Nation. And I work for a good organization that helps kids with physical disabilities out. And I also do a podcast slash radio show. And it is a para sports and pro sports radio show called The Neutral Zone. So I enjoy doing that as well.
That's great. Yeah, I love it. It's really cool that you've been able to take some of your passions and work them into helping others and working on the show, because you have a lot of experience. So what is some of your experience in sports besides the on the field?
Well, I also used to play para ice hockey, or what I know it as is sledge hockey.
Yeah.
So I played that for about 20 years. I started when I was living in Mississauga and was on the Cruiser Sports for the physically disabled. And I kind of, it was a rec league, but it became more serious as the years went on. And I ended up going as far as the Ontario provincial championships that were in Huntsville.
Nice.
And won a silver medal at the Ontario Paralympic Games. So that's kind of my shining moment as far as the para sports world goes. I really enjoyed that. And then growing up, I played a little bit of softball or baseball, and did some other things as well. But mostly I would say my sports, they are with para ice hockey, and the para track and field is where I kind of focused on for a lot of years.
Nice. I have like 3 questions for you.
Okay.
First question, which was the last question that popped in my head, was when the Pan Am Games came here to Toronto, Canada area. Did you get involved? Did you go see any of those games? And what was your experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely went there because there was a few teammates that I had through the para field that competed.
Oh, nice.
One of my friends, Kyle Petty, Renee Fassel was there as well, and they've been to the Paralympics. So they were at London 2012. They were in Beijing as well when it was there, and I think one of them was also in Australia when that happened at the Paralympics too. So there's nothing quite like going to a games where you're cheering for your country, because a lot of the times, if you're going to a hockey game or a basketball team, you're kind of going for the city. where
Yeah.
the prevent provinces can be divided and you're kind of rooting against one another. But this is where a whole country comes together, and there's nothing like cheering for the Canadian flag at the end of the day. So that's probably one of the highlights as a fan, me watching an event cheering for Canadian athletes, and it was phenomenal.
Yes, like I could not agree more. It's absolutely so much fun, and it's a real shame that the Olympics is going to be postponed. So you're cheering for, um, athletes. You're cheering for your country. That's as a spectator. But tell me a little bit about when you went all the way to the finals in sledge hockey. What experiences, what lessons, what things do you remember the most about that?
Well, one of the things that I remember is that being in a smaller town of Huntsville, the entire town came out to watch, and the arena held about 700 people, and it was
Oh
packed.
wow.
And that was my first, I know, that was my first experience of, having so many people watching the game of sledge hockey, or I think now it's called para ice hockey. So just that thrill of so many people watching you. And you know, uh, and if you know me, I'm very humble, and that was one of the best tournaments I ever played in my whole entire career.
Nice.
And like when the fans are cheering for you when you make a phenomenal save, or it's a close game and the pressure is on you. It was just all of those feelings and the experience. I'll remember for as long as I live. And the game that I'll remember the most, it was against Kingston, and they were one of the top teams, if not the top team. And I think it either went to an overtime or a shootout, if I remember correctly. And we ended up just losing that game 1-0. But like it was phenomenal that we got that far, and the saves that I made and the team in front of me and how they blocked a lot of the shots before it even got to me for me to save. It was just a phenomenal game, and we thought we were going to get blown out, and I believe we just lost that game 1-0, and that was a huge confidence booster to myself and the rest of the team.
Wow, that's fun. I had a huge smile the whole time. It's just, it's really cool. Athletics is, excuse me, athletics is one of those things where, um, it brings about such vivid memories, the thrill of competition and the camaraderie of being with your friends. And that's just so much fun. Um, Quick question, because, and then maybe we'll switch gears, but you've always been as long as I've known you, such a positive person, such a great role model. You've obviously had challenges that you have to go through. What keeps you going? What keeps you positive? What keeps you motivated?
That's a very good question. I when I'm in front of people, I certainly put on that facade of being positive, and I am a positive person, I guess, for the most part. Um, how I keep positive is just by, um, you know, uh, it's really about the people that I surround myself with, and the people that are genuine and that care about me too. Because, when you surround yourself with good people, you too will become, if not already, a good person. And you kind of feed off other people, and that's how you're able to stay positive. And I have a couple of mantras in life. One is that I'm no better than you and you're no better than me. And the other one I have is that everyone has challenges at the end of the day. Some are just more noticeable than others. So if you treat people as equals, I think you're able to stay in that positive mindset as well.
Yeah, that's great, man. I could not have said that better. I agree 100% on all of that. Awesome, my man. Woohoo. Um, we've we've known each other for 10 years. You know what makes me laugh is that when you have good buddies, it's like you can pick up the phone and not talk to one for. I just texted this morning with a friend. He sent me a stupid meme, and I texted back.
Yeah.
All I said was "See you in hell," and then he texted back something, and it's like we haven't missed a beat, and I haven't talked to this guy or seen him in over 5 years. Um, that's what I like about hanging out with you is even just the other day you texted me. You're like, yeah, you want to go live and have a beer together? I mean, these are the types of things that make me laugh that guys do. And right now, kind of, with everything going on in the world, you have to adapt and find ways to hang out with people.
Absolutely. And there's great ways to do it, whether it's, like doing this podcast like we're doing today, or a lot of people are using a lot of different video messaging apps to be able to stay connected in this time where, we're self-isolating. You just got to do what you got to do in order to be able to be socially together, no matter which way that is.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a really important component, is to make sure that you don't feel isolated. And I think another important component, and this being a fitness podcast, is that you have to stay moving. Moving is the essence of life. If you stop moving, you're gonna start to crumble. And that's why it's so important to find things that you like to do, people that you like to do it with. Find out your why, because sometimes when you're at home, it's not the easiest. If you're used to going to the gym, it might be a little more difficult. So for me, if I don't feel like working out, I easily chunk down, I chunk up into my big vision. What's my vision? I want to be a certain person, and I'm not going to get into all that, but it motivates me. I'm like, well, then I need to do my workout. And then 5 minutes in, I start to feel great. And I know I'm going to feel great 5 minutes in. So I think during this time, it's really important for people to understand that.
And if they haven't bought any of your products yet, which I'm sure after this podcast that they will start to, how can you suggest a person start that workout at home just to kind of get moving with what they have at home?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, first of all, to get moving, regardless of equipment, because you'll always find a way. You can use your body weight. You can jog on the spot. You can do jumping jacks. There's lots of free resources out there, even on our website, on how to work out with or without equipment. But to find your why, it's, I'm going to be there for my kids when they get older, or, that's something that you have to work on. We all know what it might be, but it's important to spend some time thinking about it, because the more you focus on something, the more that desire grows. So it's really important to focus on that. And then get started simple. I think people have so much paralysis by analysis. There's a million programs, a million ways to do things. What I generally recommend is pick 3 exercises. I do this with my son. He writes his own programs now. What 3 exercises you can do? Okay, jumping jacks, squats, push-ups. How many times are you going to do it? I'm going to do 5 rounds. How long's a round? A minute. Boom, there's a program. Done.
Yeah, and it's just that simple at the end of the day, isn't it?
Really, really, really is. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, that's great. Then, you were talking about the why. And can you remember back to when you were a young buck as to what the why reason was for you, and maybe tell about that journey into the fitness for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because whys change over time. I had 3 distinct whys in my life. The first why was when I went to college. I was 6'1", the height I am now, and 155 pounds. I was like concave. I was so skinny. And my why was to put on some size and strength. And obviously everybody wanted to get girls, a young boy. So, my why was girls. Get some size and hopefully get a girlfriend. And then that morphed over time. I started to get into Taekwondo and I wanted to compete, which I did. So my why became becoming more athletic and better at my sport. And now my why has morphed into, I would like to drink beer, not get too big. So it's always good to focus on your whys.
You might have to figure out a workout where you can have a beer and workout at the same time, and maybe put that in as a video.
I don't know if I need to figure that out. It's been done.
No. This podcast is going to be called Fitness for All, and I know that that's one of the taglines for Lebert Fitness. Can you talk to us about how that came about, as why you got the tagline "Fitness for
That
All"?
is a great question, and I think a great question to finish the podcast on. So we have a new president of Lebert Fitness, David Fasten, and he came on board about a year and a half ago. One of the things he did with me is really dig down deep as to why I started the company in the first place. Because, as a company, we also have our why. And once we discover that, then we can work everything around that. Everything we do is aligned towards that mission and those values. So basically what we distilled it down to is fitness for all. I developed EQualizer at first to help my clients and the members in my classes to get a more efficient and effective workout. I wanted it to be used by anyone and everyone, from ranked beginners to pro athletes. So our why is fitness for all. And and it was a big help with David and the rest of our team that we were able to really align towards that value. So I'm glad you asked that question.
Well, that's great, and it's good to know. And Marc, thank you very much for being on the first ever episode of Fitness for All, and thank you very much for Lebert Fitness for sponsoring this. And I will be your host, Cam Jenkins. And if you have any questions, comments on the podcast, make sure that you do leave a comment for us. We are going to be on all of the major podcasters, so take a look at us there. And I know that we're going to be on the Lebert Fitness website as well. So make sure that you leave a comment wherever you get your podcasts from, and we'll talk to you soon on the next episode of Fitness for All.
Awesome, my man. I'm so happy to have you on board, and thanks for this first podcast, brother.
No problem. Have a great day.
Bye.